at the hostel shows, which is fine. We'll take their money. It's good. Um, it was just interesting because it's like, especially in LA, like to get like a 15-minute set on a Tuesday night. It was so difficult. So I feel like, it was good to have that show. I think we were able to give comics a little more time to work stuff out in front of a crowd that isn't the typical Los very, happy with the comedy in English show that we kind of helped. I was happy to be a small part of running that show, so it definitely helped me performing overseas. Uh, I mean, I think the biggest difference with European crowds is I think they're a little more patient than American crowds. I think they let jokes breathe. They understand the craft of comedy a little bit better. I think American crowds, I think attention spans are, as all comics we've noticed with Instagram reels, attention spans are weaning off. Like everybody wants like, hey, quick, 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 quick. So I think it is one thing I noticed when I was performing overseas is like, oh, I can slow down a little bit. I don't have to, you know, get everything out in 5 minutes, the tight five that we're used to in the US. You can let jokes breathe a little bit. You can take your time. If you need to check in with the crowd, it's fine. But they also are there for the craft. They understand that it's a performance. One thing I don't know, I'm sure you guys have performed overseas as well, but like they sometimes on certain shows they'll do intermissions. They will like take a break from the show, and that's when they'll do like their drink. They'll sell drinks and they'll do like wait staff and service stuff because they don't want to be running around during the middle of the show like we see in comedy clubs in America, where check drops will happen during the headline.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good point, Pratik, in regards to that. It's funny that you brought up intermissions because we were talking about intermissions earlier, because Ryan Connor's got 2-hour sets that he brings on stage with him. You got to have those intermissions.
Break
Got to
up
make
those
sure that
aid jokes.
yeah, pre-order those snacks. But it's funny what you said in regards to like letting it breathe. And Aisha, I think one of the things in regards to like performing internationally is like they see stand-up comedy, and maybe it's changed a little bit in regards to just because of the blow up of social media, but they see it more as like a one-person show. Like when you go
In
overseas,
Europe,
like
you mean?
you do,
Yeah.
yeah, like when you're doing Edinburgh, for instance, like they're like, what's the title of your show? It's like
It's
the
a
Yeah.
title of my
concept.
show
I
is
got I got a
Michael
lot of that.
Madigan. So it's like
It's a
it's like
concept.
you have to have a concept. You have to have
Yeah,
a full like a beginning, middle, and end, a whole through line type of a
yeah,
thing. Like you're putting together a comedy special, really.
yeah.
But I kind of love it because it's such a different system than we have here, where it's like, okay, here you're doing like short sets, right? So there's not really an opportunity to like string all that stuff together. And then a lot of clubs you're expected to do an hour, and you're like, well, the first night at the club, I'm going to be figuring out what the puzzle pieces are that go together best if it's like newer stuff I'm doing. Whereas I think in Europe they're like, come and like try out longer stuff and like spread it out, and then you've got your hour, and then you tour that hour for like 2 years and perfect it, right? And then you have all these fans, and you're not famous, but you have all these fans who support you and like your concept and like what you're doing and what you're saying. And then when you come out with your next hour the next year and you decide to tour that, people come to your shows. And like, it's just, I think that's such a nice system for actually creativity and the art and the craft and like making something. I just made a short film, and it kind of feels like that, where like you spend all this time with the concept, you get it right, you finally make the thing, and then you put it through festivals for a year. Like that's how it feels like comedy is received in Europe versus here, where it's like, you got 2 minutes, show us what you got, baby, and then like,
Yeah.
then what? Like then you graduate. When I started in Winnipeg, where like we had local openers doing 5-minute sets, a local host doing 10 to 15 that was mostly about giving out the prizes and letting people know where the bathroom was, and then somebody who had been brought in to do an hour. Like, where is the feeder system to get to that space? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of, that doesn't exist in the same way here. Whereas I love that about Europe, where you have this space and time to breathe in it and to have a voice and to say something. And like you said, Pratik, like, you don't have to be social media, social media. It's like, I can be telling a story, I
Mhm.
can be acting something out, like I can
Mhm.
have a video, like it's just like anything kind of goes. They just want to be entertained, which is really beautiful.
I love what you just said right there. Ryan, I was just thinking about just the fact of like look, and I'm not trying to like, be like derogatory towards the United States or American audiences or anything like that. As a shout out to Ryan Connor, who even though he's in a virtual space is still covering his mouth as he sneezes.
Got to.
The one socially conscious human being. I was literally at the gym the other day, and this guy's just like going like, like right by me, and I'm like, no. And by the way, this is the guy that asked me, "Do you mind if I close the window?" He's like, "Do you mind if I close the window?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure, that's fine." He's like,
contain that bacteria.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just doing it for my plants. I got plants right here. I don't want to,
get sick.
But I think what Aisha's saying and what Prathika's saying is that, because I think that European audiences, and shout out to you guys who are watching in Europe and everything, is that there's just a respect towards the craft of theater and performance there that is held at a higher level, honestly, than the United States, where it's kind of like, I especially know here in Los Angeles, it's like, you're like, oh, you're doing a play. It's almost like they make it sound like it's an open mic. They're like, oh, you're doing a play. What is that? What is that? A play? Are you trying to do that so that you can work something out, so that you can get something that actually is worth of some sort of value? I mean, they even call the shows in work in progresses in Europe. So that you're workshopping things.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
I mean, I think, kind of, Ryan, by the way, just kind of get back to you in regards to the three people in the crowd. I think we've all been in that situation touring where we've expected a certain turnout based on the number of seats that are available in a venue. And for whatever reason, something happens. I had a show that was completely sold out, but a thunderstorm broke out in Virginia Beach. And so nobody came. And I'm like, we have a sold out. And I was literally saying, like, on stage, I'm like, guys, this show is sold out. There's like 10 people there. And they're just like, they're like, oh, this guy's so delusional. I'm like, no, you don't understand. People just couldn't get here. They literally couldn't get here to the venue. So, and you just have to pivot. You have to pivot, and you have to be willing to accept it,
Did you ever see, there was an NBA game maybe 15 years ago that was legendary, and I was watching it live. It was the Charlotte Hornets, maybe they were the Bobcats at the time. I can't remember they were playing, but an ice storm hit Charlotte, and people do not know what to do with ice down there. And, they have like an 20,000 seat arena, and there were like 75 people at this NBA game. And people from the stands during timeouts were talking to the players. They could just hear each other. And at one point during the third quarter, you hear a guy on the broadcast talk to one of the players. He's like, I'm going to head home now before the roads get worse.
I really hope at very least all those like people who came to watch moved down to the good seats. Like no one stayed up.
They did. That's so funny.
But that's funny that you said that, Aisha, because I believe like in Europe, people are so polite. They're like, no, I purchased the nosebleed seats. I'm going to stay here.
I did this to myself. I'm staying up here.
I would do that too, honestly. My girlfriend and I just went to a play, and she wanted to move up. Like it was like 2 rows. Just I can't remember. It was something like seeing over someone, and I was like, "We're gonna get kicked out."
Ryan Connor, that's socially conscious, just so respectful.
Can I tell you what happened during my set when I said the SIRI thing? I'm scared of even saying the name now. I look down, and it is texting my set to this guy, Steve, who I have not talked to in 15 years.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
And then I cancel that. Somehow in the process of canceling, I guess I answered a call. Didn't even know I had a call. Then I looked down a minute later because I'm like recording the set so I can remember the jokes. And I looked down, and I am connected with an AT&T representative. And I had been talking to this person for 2 minutes, and she texted me. It was like, I guess it wasn't a good time to talk, but when can we chat?
I think my favorite thing about that is that, like, you know, you have just literally, not only have you made this show go viral, you've literally made the show go super viral, because it's now in the AT&T system, being shot out by the AT&T
Oh,
AI
wow. This has
web
been recorded
to everyone.
yeah.
Forever,
AT&T.
forever put in the AT&T like the records.
Unbelievable.
And they review
Isn't
those
that like
calls, so
StoryCorps?
somebody's going to review it.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, again, like I said, guys, if you want to join us in the Zoom room, we're hanging out here in the Zoom room every week. You can join us in the Zoom room. The link is on Eventbrite, or keep watching on Twitch. We appreciate that. But just keep sending the link to your friends, or follow at Comedy in English, so you find out more information on all the different amazing lineups. With that being said, guys, you're ready for your next comic. This comedian is absolutely incredible. She is one of my favorites out there. She just got back from the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. Let's give it up for the one and only Aisha Alpha, everybody.
Woo, woo, woo. Me. That's what I assume everyone, but they're saying Aisha. But if I'm going to join in on the chant, I have to say me. Otherwise, it's like a God complex, right? Hi, this is great. I'm so happy to be here. This really does remind me of being back in the pandemic, because I was 100% pregnant and on bed rest and doing comedy from my bed. And it was before we figured it all out, where we had people like have their video on and their audio on, and you just felt like you were a crazy person going through a mental break, like screaming things into an empty hallway. And I was the only one who was happy about this setup. Like, I was like, pandemic was good for me. I had a great time. This is great. I'm excited. I love Michael Majid, who's one of my favorite people in LA. I think we just need to take a moment for some shout outs to Michael. And this isn't even jokes. I just feel like I need to take a moment. This is like an acceptance speech where I just need to take a moment to like give you your flowers, because when I first moved to LA, before I even lived here fully, I met Michael and I was like, hey, new to town, do you have any great shows that you love that you could maybe like let me know and I'll reach out? And he sent me a spreadsheet with every show he had done in the past year, with all of the bookers' names. And I was so appreciative. And then a few months later, I lost it and I messaged him again and he resent it. So just giving it up for Michael, who also had one of the best sets I've ever seen, where he'd had a great comedy set. And then he did an impromptu, unexpected, mostly unexpected to him, comedic, artistic performance where he got tangled in the mic cord so badly. I kid you not, it took longer than his set. It took him to untangle himself. It had somehow gotten tangled in his backpack that was on the whole time. Like, it was like close up magic and comedy and art all mixed together in one of the most beautiful displays I've ever seen. And I was convinced that this was part of his set until after he's like, I just got tangled up. I don't know. So just big shout outs to you, Double M. Yes. So I didn't always live here. I live here now, and for now, I guess. But I am a citizen, thank you, which is very hard to do. Thank you. And it is, people are always like shitting on immigrants. And I'm like, it is really hard to become a citizen of this country. And, and I did it through entertainment, where I had to get a green card. And I don't know if anyone's done this before, but you have to prove that you are an alien of extraordinary ability. That is the actual technical term that you have to prove to the immigration people here. And I remember being like, well, what are the criteria? Like, what do I have to do? And they give you kind of 9 criteria. And then they're like, just sort of prove it. Like, show that and let us know. And I'm like, there's a phone number that you can call if you need help when you're doing your green card. And then when you call it, they tell you they're not allowed to give you advice. Like, if you just call it and you're like, hey, so I was having trouble figuring out this form and like what it means to prove that I increased income for whatever. And they're like, yeah, confusing, huh? And I was like, yeah. So hoping like this was the helpline. So hoping you could help me. They're like, yeah, actually, we're not allowed to legally give any advice. We just have to be here to like answer the call. So it feels like I'm being gentle parented at all times when like I call, where they're like, we're not gonna help you, like we're not gonna push you forward in any direction. We just want to let you know that you're here and we're here and we see you, you're seen, okay? So I got my green card eventually, and then I applied to become a citizen. But in the meantime, after I got my green card, I moved to the States. I met my now husband. We got married. And, after you have your green card, after 5 years, you can apply for your citizenship. And I got married, and my friends were like, oh my gosh, you don't have to wait. You can just apply for citizenship through your marriage. And call me an independent woman, call me a feminist, call me an idiot, whatever. But like, I refused to do it through marriage, even though I could get it for cheaper and instantly, because I was like, no man is going to be the person who either keeps me here or kicks me out. I'm my own woman. I spent $10,000 to get me a green card, and I'm going to work that 5 years, and I'm going to get it by myself. So I spent a lot of money and a lot of time, and now this green card is mine. Now this citizenship, I applied on my own merit, okay? Because no man's gonna hold me down. Yes, he pays for all the bills and everything, and all of our utilities are in his name, but that's not the point, okay? But getting your citizenship is very hard. It's very difficult. It's very expensive. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. And when I finally was applying for mine, what you have to do is you have to fill in all this paperwork, pay money, and then you get a date to show up to have an interview where they're going to test your knowledge of American and political history, where they're going to make sure that you speak English and then you have money, that you can support yourself, that you are a person of upstanding character. And one of the things they ask is like, are you now or have you ever been a drunkard? Which I think is perhaps a relic from like when America started. I don't know. But like, I've never heard anyone ask if I'm a drunkard. And let me tell you, I had a real hard time, especially as a comedian, because being a drunkard kind of sounds classy to me. I'm like, oh, I'm a drunkard. Ooh, like I'm not a drunk. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a drunkard. Like I feel like I should have like a long, skinny cigarette. You know what I mean? Like I'm a classy drinker. Yes, it's 11:30 in the morning, but I'm good. It's fine. And so I had to lie and say I wasn't. And then, of course, I was like, I'm going into this. I've studied my American history. I've studied everything. I have learned everything I need to learn. And I'm so nervous, right? I know I should be here. I deserve to be here. I am an alien of extraordinary talent because no one tells a dick joke like I do. Okay. But I expected this test to become a citizen of this great nation. I expected it to be very official. Like I expected there to be significant people there in a boardroom. Like I wanted it to be like the president has to be there. Maybe not this president, but like one president from some time. I wanted it to be Bill Clinton, but I wanted a president in room. I thought like it was going to be like Yosemite Sam was going to be there, like kicking it up, and maybe like the indigenous person from the old commercials with like a single tear, like just warning me, don't come. I wanted all those people to be in a room, like a boardroom, and I would walk in and there'd be fanfare, and then I would sit down and they would ask, and then there would be celebration with confetti. My test to become a citizen, my number was called. I'm in my best outfit. I've got my little pamphlet. I'm ready to go. And it was just some really tired middle-aged dude who like hated his job, who brought me back from the waiting room. I'm like, oh, he must be the one who hates his job. He just walks me to the boardroom and then leaves me with the good people. Nope. I just go into his little cubicle office. Okay. And I'm talking like a person, like way too personal of an office. I knew that he had a child who played soccer and he had like a number one dad mug. And I was like, that's a lie. Like it was just not, it was too much. And and this is the person who's going to decide if I get to stay in the country my kids are in, or if I have to be like forcibly removed to Canada or to Nigeria where I was born. I'm like, I need to pass this test. So the first thing they do is they start going in, asking me questions, and I'm sweating and I'm answering these questions. I'm killing it. I'm doing really good. And this guy is like lording over his power, just like slowly looking through all of my documents, like, okay, not a drunkard. I'm like, shh, and he keeps turning through my little 3-ring binder, sees all of my green card material. And then at one point he stopped because his phone rang and his wife was calling, and he said, "Do you mind if I take this?" And I was like, I guess not. You make all the rules, dude. Like, so he left the room, took a phone call, and came back. He goes, "Oh, sorry, my wife got in an accident. I really had to make sure she was okay." And I was like, "Okay." So he keeps going. Then he goes back trying to have like a sense of authority. And I was like, "No, I know too much about you to like have any respect." Goes through. And eventually he gets to the part where he realizes I'm a comedian. And this is, as we all know as comedians, you never want a layman when you're not doing a show to ever find out that you're a comedian, right? And he goes, oh, you're a comedian, huh? And I was like, well, I can't do what I do in every Uber and lie and say I'm accountant because I'm trying to, I'm like, he's got the evidence. I'm like, yep, I'm a comedian. He goes, okay. So, Larry David? And I was like personally, like, do I need to say yes to get into the country? Because I will. And I was like, well, I don't know him personally. And he goes, but you know of Larry David. And I was like, yeah. He goes, so, curb your enthusiasm. And I was like, he said it like he was like offering a deep cut. Like I was like, yeah, everyone knows that's what he's known for. Like, even if you didn't know he was involved in Seinfeld, Curb, he's with it, right? So I was like, yeah, oh my God, you know about Curb too? Like, I feel like I was on the worst possible date of my life where I was like trying to like fluff up some dude's ego because I needed what he had, which was citizenship. So this guy then proceeds to be like, oh my God, so you do know it. Yeah, it's a great show. Oh my God. You've seen the one where, and then he reenacted an entire episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
What?
Like I'm talking beginning, middle, end. I'm talking commercial breaks. This dude, the full episode, while I just sat in his tiny little office, and I'm going like, I need him to give me that stamp, right? So I'm just like, like I've never laughed so hard in my life at someone who I thought was unfunny. And so at the end, he's like, great episode, right? I was like, oh my God, it's my favorite episode. I'm like pushing the papers, trying to get him to stamp. Like, and then he goes, yeah. If you like that one, you're gonna love this one. And then proceeded to reenact the second episode. I'm telling you guys, it was like, honestly, we talk about veterans. Before I was even officially a citizen, I paid my dues to this country by letting this guy reenact 2 episodes. Okay, fully did it. He stamped my paper. Bing, bang, boom. I'm a citizen now. Okay, so I feel very proud of myself. I did give him a blowjob just to speed things up, but fantastic. I'm here. You can't get rid of me now. And that's wonderful. And then I got married. I quickly became pregnant and then had 2 kids over the course of just under like 2.5 years. So my life was real whirlwind. I went from being a single lady to being married, having kids, moving to a different country, changing my citizenship, all within like a couple of years, and it was wild. And now I have 2 kids, which is obviously, say it with me, too many. So I didn't know I wanted to have kids. I didn't know I wanted to have kids right up until they came out of my body. It's a lot, as an independent woman who has a lot of goals in life. Kids change those goals, ruin those goals, and it's fine. I'm happy. I'm happy with them now, but I just didn't grow up being like, I want to do this. Like, I want to be a mom. And I know a lot of people did. And I know it's hard to have kids for some women. And so I never want to take that away. And also my kids came quickly and like too easily. And it just like, it shook my whole world, where like I would go and see people and they're like, oh my God, you had a kid. You're a mom. You're a mom. And like their heads would explode and just like Bed Bath and Beyond coupons would start shooting out. But like, I didn't have that. Like I was fucking, you know what I mean? I was fucking. And then one day creation happened. Like I didn't know that. I wasn't becoming a mom. I was just like, oops. And then oops, I did it again. And it was really interesting where I sort of have like not mom energy. I have like mother, kind of like that's what I'm rocking. And I didn't want to go to these mommy and me classes because I just felt like I didn't have anything in common with the moms there, like the Disney moms. But eventually, it is a really tough time in life, and no one else can really relate other than moms. So I ended up going to a mom and me class. Right enough for you. My mom and me class, and it was in Studio City where I live, where it's mostly under melanated ladies. Let's just say a lot of Karen spelled with a Q with an apostrophe, which is great. I mean, like, oh, all power to everybody. But I showed up and they were like, oh my God, like they were like, when people are like too excited, like it's like the racism, but like full circle now. Like before they didn't want you, then they're like, okay, they're okay. And now they really want you like too much. Like they're like, oh my God, I'm like, that's not my culture. Like, I don't even know what world we're talking about right now. And they brought me in and they're like, we're so excited to have you here. Oh my God, like kicking people out of their seats. Like, let her sit here. Okay, Shaniqua. I'm like, I've told you my name's Aisha 7 times. But I sat there and then they went over the rules. They're like, oh my God, this is a safe space. Okay, a very safe space. We just want you to know we're real safe here. And in this space, we don't use the N-word. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, none of us, we don't use it. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, oh, sorry, we don't use the N-word around the kids. With the kids, we don't use the N-word. And I was like, okay, that's worse, right? Like, if you're gonna use it, then use it, right? Like, but it was just this awkward moment where I'm like, what? Like, I'm trying to like slowly back out, and then she realized what she had said to a Black woman, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you misunderstand. In this space, we don't use the N-word. No, we don't use the word." And let me tell you, I was so much more offended. You know what I mean? I was like, you don't tell these little niggas no. What? Like, you should. You have a white son named Hunter. Like, statistically speaking, he needs to hear the word no more often. So I did get kicked out. But you know what? Hey, my kids are still alive. I'm still a mom. So I think I'm doing it okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me some time. Appreciate you all.
Aisha Alpha, everybody. One more time for Aisha Alpha.
Thank you.
My God. She uses the word no consistently, which you have to do. You have to do that out there. By the way, shout out to all the 8-year-olds on Twitch who are finding this stream and have decided it is there. It is their personal baby. They're killing it with the 8-year-old community. Just a bunch of Owen Coopers from adolescence watching our comedy show. Leading the next generation. I love the fact, Aisha, when you said they're like alien of extraordinary ability. Is it literally makes it sound like you have to be Captain Marvel in order to be able to like stay in the United States.
That's the actual terminology, and that's what you have to like prove that you are in order to like get a green card, which is silly. Like, it's so ridiculous because there's nobody who can do something that nobody else can do other than like maybe, I don't know, some specific brain surgeon. And like, I'm certainly not doing that,
I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. Also, by the way, I will admit this to everybody in this room right here. When I just started talking about the thing about the guy reenacting Curb Your Enthusiasm, I realized that last night I was talking to somebody,
you were that guy,
and they mentioned they had never seen Succession.
Oh,
and I was like, you remind me a lot of like, like Matthew McFadden, like, plays Tom from Succession. He's like, I've never seen Succession. I'm like, you've never seen Succession? Dude, there's this episode where Tom, and I was like, I started doing a one-person show of Succession.
Take it on the road to Europe. It'll be great.
At least you've seen Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Because I can't even imagine how bad it must be to somebody who has no context of what you're doing.
Like, at least Curb is just like jokes, whatever, character actors. Succession is like very dramatic.
I'm like going into, I'm like, and then Shiv goes, blah, blah, blah. And then I just realized I'm like, also, like, to him, it just sounds like I'm talking about like people I know. because like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
has no contact because he's never seen the show before. So he has no backstory. It just sounds like I'm talking about these people I know at work. Like he's like,
I
oh,
know.
and then Shiv, you know how Shiv is, how that's just such a Shiv face for her to make. Like I'm not kidding. This is why we
That's
do these online
hilarious.
shows, because that will become a bit one day. That is
Yeah.
actually pretty funny right there. I wish that getting tangled in that thing was a bit. That absolutely
I
happened for real.
honestly, I wish like it was one of the most magical things I've ever seen in my life. I'm not I like and I know you think I'm being facetious. It was like so weird. And you know you're like in something and you're like, what's happening right now? And it just kept going to the point where I was like, this is the most brilliant piece of art that is also funny. And like you're like such an anomaly where like you're so funny sometimes without even knowing you're being funny. It's like it's one of the most endearing qualities that you have. Like you're very funny as a comedian, but like sometimes you say and do things where I'm just like, he has no clue that he's a genius right now. Like it's so funny to me. So good.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, guys, we just have one more comedian left to go. And you shout out to all you guys who've been watching on the Twitch stream. Guys, keep telling your friends. Every Wednesday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. in the south of France, because their time zone is slightly different. Yeah. Well, I know that because my cousin just moved to the south of France. So shout out to Eduardo, who's there now. I said that properly. I have to say it with Castilian because he's now in Europe. So Eduardo. I don't even know if I did that right. Guys, one more comic to go. Are you guys ready for your final comedian? You guys know him. You love him. Before we get to that, our final comedian, guys, Ryan, Aisha, anything you guys want to plug in case people, we don't get a chance later on?
Yeah, anyone who's in Los Angeles this Saturday, I'm gonna a really fun big show called Spicy Moms. Ooh la la. Spicy Moms at the Improv. And it's an early show. It's a 4 p.m. show. So if you got shit to do, moms, get in and get out. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a great show. It's a really fun lineup. And it's raising money for maternal health as well. So if you're around, come on out. There's going to be a step and repeat red carpet too. So come show up and show out.
Wow. Spicy 4 p.m. show. Right there.
My jam. That's my sweet spot right there. There
needs to be more 4 p.m. shows. I'm not going to lie. There definitely needs to be more 4 p.m. show.
Absolutely.
4 p.m. shows. All right, Ryan, what about you?
I'll be in Philadelphia this Friday at Next in Line, and then Saturday I'll be at St. X in DC. Also, if you're a reader, you can get my book, The Party, which is it's a novel. It's a satirical novel. You can just get it on Amazon. That's all.
Very cool. You have a book that's not about comedy. Look at you go.
I do. I do.
I love the way you just just humbly said that at the end. You're like, also, if you're a reader, I am a published author.
Yeah. I would have shirts that just say I'm an author at all times.
Like I would just honestly, like in that Uber, like when people ask you like, what do you do instead of comedy? They'd be like, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm an author. And then they would just have nothing to say to that. They'd be like, I'm not intelligent enough to speak to this person, so I'm just gonna leave it alone at that. They're like, where more am I taking you? You're like rumors in Winnipeg right now. Got a lot of authoring to do at Rumors in Winnipeg tonight. Oh man. Your next comic,
great club.
Your final comic coming to the stage, guys. And shout out to all you guys who've been watching. Again, keep sharing this link out with your friends. You guys, you know him, you love him. He's a KO regular. You recently saw him at the Edinburgh Fringe Fest. You've seen him performing recently in Germany. Let's give it up for the one and only Pratik Shrivastava, everybody.
Oh, hey, everybody. And how about a hand for all the comedians we saw? Aisha, Brian, Michael Majid. Michael, you're putting this on. You're taking the reins on this, and we salute you. Zoom comedy is not easy to have a patience for, and I salute your patience. I always feel like, I think Aisha kind of touched on this. I always feel like when I'm doing a Zoom comedy show, like I feel like I'm just yelling into my laptop, and I can see the reflection of myself while I'm telling the jokes.
Hilarious.
It's very awkward. It's more awkward than when I masturbate in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah. It's a lot. Shout out to Aisha. I don't know if you remember Aisha. You hosted the Stand Up for Diversity NBC showcase, and for those of you that don't know, like these showcases. Sometimes there's industry there. It's very nerve wracking, and the host has like the toughest job. Most comedy hosts always have the toughest job, but especially at like a industry showcase, you're setting the tone for a bunch of just like bored, like just people like this, and it's Chicago too. So just very angry crowds. And I wanted to give you your flowers for you did a great job hosting that night. You opened up the crowd, and I had to go first too. So you really opened it up and made me feel comfortable enough to do well. So I appreciate you hosting on shows when a lot of times host is phoning in and you did not phone it in. So I think you deserve your flowers for that. And it is good to see you again. Yeah, good to see you, Ryan, as well. Michael, yeah, it's just been good to. There is something fun sometimes about Zoom because you get to see the comics you haven't seen in a while in a fun, controlled way. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll do shows and we'll be in a green room or a coat closet. If there is no green room, you're typing. And like you're trying to have a conversation, and then like the chef has to go by. They're having like they're filming the bear in the background while you're trying to. It's a lot. No, yeah. So Michael did mention been traveling a little bit in Europe. Yeah, European crowds are always fun. European comedy is very interesting. Sometimes comic, like especially in the UK, they'll announce, like the comic will sometimes announce the topic they're going to talk about before going into it. I had to do a show in London, and this comic, like he's doing some jokes, and all of a sudden he goes, "All right, and now for some pedo jokes." Like he just announced, like this is the pedo chunk. We're going for it, and not pedophile, not child molester, pedo. He called it pedo. He really he condensed the word. He almost cleaned it up. There is something about UK slang where they clean up words, and they just like things just sound nicer in they don't say jerk off or masturbate. They say wank. Like wank sounds like doesn't it? Like wank feels like a dish. You know what I'm saying? Like wank feels like a dish that in the kitchen sometimes when he shows himself. Yes. Shout out to Jinda, our audience member. If you're a KO regular, sometimes in the past on KO shows, Jinda will show himself eating while you're performing, and I appreciate that because I need to know that the people watching me do comedy are treating it like it's a podcast. I you had a choice between the Joe Rogan Experience or me having a breakdown on stage, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, one time I was hosting a Zoom show during the pandemic, and I could audibly hear vacuuming in the background. Like that was awesome. I was just like, yeah, we're just going to use this as a listening device. Yeah, I wonder if people use our Zoom shows to fall asleep, like instead of a white. And I would use my comedy for that. Yes, I am very calming in my easy listening comedy. Yes, no, it's wild. I'm trying to think of other Zoom related things that happened. Oh yeah, one time, there's a show on Monday that's still going on, Chirping Bird Comedy. It's still a great show if you guys want to do it. But yeah, I was guest hosting. This is during the pandemic, and what was happening during the pandemic, sometimes you'd host a Zoom show and there'd be what was called Zoom bombers. These are people that they want to heckle, but they want to do more than heckle. They want to interrupt the show, and then they're going to take that recording and put that up online and make it's like they're disrupting, right? So we had some Zoom bombers come in, and I had kind of figured out Zoom by that point. So I was like going in and trying to remove them. It was kind of like telling jokes while playing Asteroid at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna do my punchline, but I'm gonna remove you too. Yeah. So like it was wild. So like at one point I literally saw like a full on just not butt cheeks, but butthole, full on. Just somebody had joined the show, been like no camera, and then all of a sudden just click. I'm in the room and just like full on butthole I could see, and as I'm trying to remove them. It's just like it was they started speaking Spanish, but it was also like Nazi symbols in Spanish with butthole. So it was a bilingual white supremacist, which blew my mind, right? Like you're trying to be racist, but you're also trying to do it efficiently. Like that's a lot. More than I can expect from most racists. So that's wild. Jinda just wrote Wheel of Fate versus Turkenberg. Jinda's trying to start a turf battle between KO Zoom shows. That is legend. Shout out to Jinda. Yeah, so UK was wild. I did do a show at a military base in Germany, and so I was like, oh, I gotta rattle this German material. And then I get there, it's an American military base, so it literally was like doing a show in Indiana. It was wild. I'd written all this like cool stuff about Germany, and then no, I could do. It was literally like a bunch of. They didn't even take euros. Like they were like, no, we only take dollars. It's American military base. So I did every deep cut like Midwest reference ever. Like I was doing references to like I'll tell you one of the deep cut Midwest references that murdered over there. Let's see if it works in this Zoom room. But I was doing a show. I was doing a joke about how as comics we do a lot of shows in dive bars and on the road. So I'm like I've done so many shows at dive bars that have either like the Golden Tee golf machine playing in the background or the Guns N' Roses themed pinball machine. It's at the point now where I have dreams about the Guns N' Roses themed pinball machine, and in these dreams, I'm playing pinball on my knees, and man, they love that reference. Like, yeah. And I'm not saying that's an amazing joke, but it is the best Guns N' Roses themed pinball joke you will ever hear. All right, you take those two concepts and you just smash them together. It's a lot. I did turn on my fan again, so hopefully there's no echo. I'm glad we got rid of the echo. I was trying to just subtly. I told Michael I'll be a little late, and I'm like, how can I come in and not? Because that's the thing as comics. When we show up to a show late, we don't want to, become like draw attention to ourselves. And even on Zoom, every time I manage to make noise and draw attention. That's how I know Zoom is just like any other comedy show. Yes, that's wild. Yeah. So this happened a couple of years ago, and I don't really tell this on stage too much, but Aisha talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm inspired me to tell this, so I'll try to make this quick. But and again, this sounds very name droppy, but and funny enough, it didn't happen in LA, and it happened in Chicago. So I know LA is very name droppy, but this happened in Chicago. So I started comedy many years ago, and kind of when I had started, a close friend of mine who was in the music world, he was very encouraging to me. He actually went with me to my first two open mics, at which frankly I'd rather nobody had gone there. Like I kind of like it was that thing of you want your friends to come initially, but then at one point it's like no, I need nobody I know to be here while I just extol verbal diarrhea for like a year and a half. So it was great that he came for the first two, and then he went away. I even wanted to come back to like I think one of my first shows. I'm like, just let these jokes just get them some. I have to just. It's like masturbating before having sex. Like you need to just get it out once. I mean, no, like don't come. Like, but he was very encouraging. I'm still friends with him to this day. So we were in Chicago. I'd maybe been doing comedy for like a year and a half. There's a very famous music venue in Chicago called the Metro. We're there for like a secret show. My friend, he does a lot of stuff with hip hop artists. He makes a lot of beats. He's very he's been uncredited on a lot of great albums. So we're at the secret show, and Chicago's own Kanye West shows up. Obviously Kanye West in the last few years had a bit of a turn in terms of public opinion about him. He's made some questionable statements in the media. He said some things that we're not sure about. But at the time, this was I think right after Gold Digger had come out. So he was on the rise, very popular. He was at a secret show, and I'm not one to feel comfortable, in like backstage after parties. Like it's a lot of cool looking people here. Everybody's dressed nicely. It's music. I don't really know the music world, so I was kind of in the background. I was kind of talking to my friend, and then my friend who he had made some beats for Kanye West, he was talking to Kanye. He looked over at me. I should not be part of this conversation at all. He's like, "Hey Kanye, this is my friend Pratik. He's been doing stand-up comedy for a couple of years, and I shit you not." The full on like we hear about stories about Kanye West being autistic. The autisticness, like the autism came out in full force. He ran from my friend. He ran up to me and he literally said this again. This reminds me of what Aisha said. He said, "I love stand-up comedy. Do you know Larry David?" He literally said exactly. we like when you go to those open mics and like you see the comics who can't make eye contact properly and they want to talk about some obscure like remember like Mad Magazine from 1970 like that's what Kanye he want to talk about Larry David, he want to talk about Kids in the Hall. We spent 10 minutes talking about the Dr. Seuss Bible sketch from Kids in the Hall. Like this man is a comedy nerd. A lot of people don't know. Like when he had that one video for Can't Tell Me Nothing, he had Zach Galifianakis before pre-Hangover. Like he knew about Galifianakis pre-Hangover. He's very much a comedy nerd. Again, bringing backpacks to shows like that's comedy nerd 101. You bring backpack to the show, except for me when you look like this, you can't do that. But every other dude, you can. That's the one racial reference. No, there'll be more. You know my act. I talk about my race all the time. No, yeah, we talk about Kids in the Hall, and then he keeps asking me about Larry David, and he keeps saying like, yeah, I like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I wanna do my own version of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where I say stupid things and I piss people off. And when I see Kanye West in the news now, I'm like, I think he's kind of living his Larry David. Saying a lot of stupid shit, and he's pissing people off. So maybe it's all just an act. I don't know. Or it's ketamine. Like my friend said, like he's probably on ketamine right now. So he's either a comedic genius or he needs all the help in the world. Yeah. I love him. And then that's the thing. Like yes, I don't want to. Anyone to think I don't condone any of the things he's saying. It is very troubling to hear him say this stuff, but it is that thing of do you still listen to the music? Do you listen to these problematic artists still? And there's a great debate about that. Should you give money to these people? Don't give money to them, Pratik. Don't give money to Kanye West. Don't listen to his stuff. But I'm like, I did find a loophole because I listened to his stuff on Spotify. So I'm not giving my money to him because no artists get paid on Spotify. You know how I know this? You can find my album there and I get 1 cent for every million downloads. Yeah. That is a loophole. Corporate overlords. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. I know Ryan and Aisha and Michael, we all know about the, when you got an album out, it's got to be #1 on the iTunes comedy charts because that is an important credit to have. But then you realize you get it, and then you realize a day later nobody cares. Like no club is booking you because we're #1 for 30 minutes on December 22nd, 2020. I did get to beat John Mulaney. That was cool because his album was tracking because that was the day he went to rehab famously. So all his stuff was tracking a lot, but for 30 minutes, I was #1, and I saved that. We'll frame it and we'll put it up one day whenever I can figure out how to, get like a kind of, like I like Ryan's office and background. Like you got like the posters up and everything. Like that's cool. Like I need to do that. All I have up is some artwork that my mother did in 1986, which is that's pretty cool too. My mom, by the way, side note, yes, my family is originally from India. My mother is an artist. She wanted to be a doctor, but her conservative Indian parents told her no, go into something more stable like interior design, which that's such like a mind fuck. we are the bizarro world of the immigrant experience. My mother wanted to go into something like medicine, and she was told no. Like what? Like Indian people don't even believe me when I say that. They're like, no, you're a BS thing us. What are you doing? And then the Curb Your Enthusiasm plays. Like they they don't believe me, but it's true. Yes, my mother wanted to be a doctor, and then she was told, no, you can't do that. And there were a myriad of reasons why they didn't want her to do that, and whatever. She wanted to do it, but then she went into art, and she ended up liking that. So who would have thought that the safety net job ended up giving her more of an artistic passion anyway? So it worked out. It didn't financially help, but it was, to pay rent with your inside. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it is such a, when you think about Indian stereotypes, like, oh, and I've had good friends of mine go like, hey, Pratik, I don't know if you have like a cousin who's a doctor, but I need a prescription Lexapro. Like, could your family hook it up? Yeah. Nope, no one's hooking it up. I got 2 cousins that are kind of doctors, and I say kinda because they got their medical degree from the Caribbean islands. So I don't know how. Yeah, that's like in your business degree from Trump University. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, not. Like if you learned about Sergio or wearing Crocs on the beach, I do not trust him. There's a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out. It's called Pirates of the Caribbean versus the med students from the Caribbean who killed more people. You know, it's wild. No, it's wild because like, you know, obviously DEI is such a big topic right now. Everybody's so frustrated about it, but I have to admit, like, just in doctor, like, I have like, you know, what would be considered a problematic doctor. I have an old white guy for a doctor, and you know, it should be considered problematic. But I'll be frank with all of you, I'm really happy with my old white guy doctor. He fucking rules because he's made his money already. He's been in the industry forever, so he's not worried about like, well, I don't know, you should take the. He's made all his extra testing money. The pharmaceutical companies have paid him off. He has 10 votes. He's good. He's been to the south of France 10 million times, so he just gives it to me straight. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you want from a doctor. You don't want someone who goes, well, I don't know what that mole is. Oh, it looks like the state of Louisiana, but we need to do this test and this test. And like, you have to do 10 million tests, and you got to, you know, find the Declaration of Independence with Nicolas Cage, and that's the only way you'll find out what your mole is. You know what I mean? Like, whereas he's like, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, that weird mole? No, it should look like this. And then he'll show, like, he has such a Rolodex of patients, and clearly he's old, so he doesn't care about HIPAA. So he's like literally showing me pictures of his old patients. Like, no, they should look like this. Because I'm like the WebMD generation where I'm like, am I dying? He's like, no, do this. No, it doesn't look like this. Shut the fuck up. He actually said to me one time, like, shut up. Like, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Not dying. Is that problematic? Yes. But it gave me the peace of mind that this neurotic comedian needed to feel good. So I am pro DEI, but I also like my old Mike Van doctor. He's a cool dude. All right. I know this because I had an Indian person as a doctor once. Every single thing they said was, I don't know. I'm like, you're a medical professional. I am paying you so much right now. All you're saying is, I don't know. I worked at Best Buy and we weren't allowed to say, I don't know. You know what I mean? What's going on? Like, this is bizarro world. Yeah. To bring it back to what Ryan was talking about with improv, that old white man doctor, you know what his son does? Improv. I have gone to see my doctor's son's improv team. Then we hang out afterwards. I hang out with my old white man doctor. It's wild, man. And then and I've been wanting to just, like, you know, when we hang out, be like, you know, your dad has touched my testicles, right? I have paid money to your father, who you've known for 10 years because of the whole thing. But I've paid money to your father to touch my testicles. Yeah. He has fingered my taint. Yes. And I appreciate it. What I needed at the time. I look to nobody. I look to the heavens. I look to hell. And I realized the only man that can do that is Dr. So-and-so. I won't say his name on here. You'll probably watch the replay of this later. It is this show is within his network, so he is allowed to watch. Damn. All right, we've been on this too long. There's been a lot. I'll leave. This is one thing I do want to talk about real quick. So I don't know how it is with you guys, but like I have nieces and nephews, but they're not like my direct, like, you know, siblings. You know, I have cousins' kids, and they call me Uncle Pratik. I think that's very, you know, I think that's something, you know, with my white comedian friends don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They're like, wait, so your sister has a kid? I'm like, no, she doesn't have any kids. Like, my cousins have kids and they call me uncle. I think that's like a first generation immigrant thing, but like, yeah, I'm like a random uncle to all these kids. Some of them I've met for the first time, which is great, you know, because that's the thing. The bar for being an uncle is on the ground. Like, there's no such thing as a deadbeat uncle. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not visiting your niece and nephew, then you're just no longer in their life. Like, you're not like, oh, I could come back later. Like, no, you're either in or you're out. Like, there's no in between when you're an uncle. Like, the stakes are so low. The bar for entry is so low. Like, I remember one of my nephews, you know, big baseball guy. So I was actually going up to Vancouver. So I went back to LA I got him, like a Dodgers. There's like this really nice Dodgers like snow globe. You know what I'm saying? It's like the logo has a couple of the hats within the snow globe, and I give it to this nephew. He looked at it. I could see like the glimmer in his eyes, and he was really happy with it. And then he shook that up, and he just hurled that thing at the wall. He broke that immediately. Yeah. His mom, his dad, they were freaking out. They're like, how could Pradeep got that thing for you? How are you, like, you don't appreciate that thing at all? And I just popped up and said, I think he appreciated a lot. In those 10 seconds, he really appreciated it. He was so happy that he took this thing. He's a baseball guy. He wanted to throw it against the wall. Like, I provided him joy for those 10 seconds that I don't think he's experienced before, which is something I say to all my ex-girlfriends all the time. So, it's not always about holding on to things forever. Like, what's he going to do? Hold on to it for years and it gets dusty and then he tries to eBay it off. But, eBay takes 30% away, so you can't just give it right away, and they charge extra for shipping. But if you forget to pay for your shipping credit, then they end up charging you $19.99, and then you got to call Srinivas in Sri Lanka on the Uber tech support line, and he's eating something while he's talking to you, and you're just trying to figure out how do you sell your little snow. This is not related to okay, no, not at all. Yeah, eBay is not fun. I have like a Rolling Stone issue of Ozzy Osbourne who passed away, and it's taking forever to try to sell it. So if my little cousin, or not little cousin, oh my God, you're seeing the wires come off from the stand-ups. Like, pay no attention to the Mariette that's in the background now. My little nephew wanted to throw that thing away and break it. If he got joy out of that, that's all right with me. You know what? Because I'm all right being a hero in his mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like he has a father who's like, his father does TED Talks on black holes. And somehow me, comedian Pradeep Srivastava, I just played dinosaur with him for 2 seconds and I'm his fucking hero. Like, that's amazing. His dad has given TED Talks where Justin Trudeau has been there. And they both were wearing blackface at the time. It was wild. It was the whole thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the bar for entry for being uncle is so low. So I will leave you with. I know I said it was ending, but I'll leave you with this. I had my own kind of third removed uncle situation where this was a guy named Uncle Scott. He actually, one of the last times I got to see him, Ryan, was right before I did Oino Vino. He used to live in Visalia in California. He took his Volkswagen bus. He's a very, very old school Democrat, old school hippie dude. He took his Volkswagen bus. He tried to park in that Oino Vino parking lot, which is not easy to do. As you guys know, so he was there. He couldn't even he didn't even want to go to the show. He just wanted to talk to me for like 10 minutes. Like, this is like an hour before showtime. So I'm talking to him, and it was one of those things where, he used to do this thing where he would call kids that were sick and pretend to be Santa Claus, because a lot of kids who were sick, they can't go to the mall and see Santa Claus in real life. And I remember I told him that. I said, Uncle Scott, I know you're not, you're kind of living out of the van right now. You're not doing so well, but when you told me you did that really instilled a sense of the holiday spirit in me. And I want to say, thank you, Uncle Scott. And I could see again, just like my nephew, he got a glimmer in his eye. He was feeling good. And then he reached into his back pocket. I thought, oh, what's Santa Claus going to pull out now? He's going to pull out a candy cane. He's going to pull out a little tree or a Christmas ornament or maybe my own snow globe. He pulls out a bag of cocaine. Yeah. I had a choice. Do I do cocaine with Santa Claus? It was a white Christmas indeed. Hey, this has been fantastic. Give it up for all the comedians you've seen. Thank you, Michael Madge. Thank you, guys.
One more time for the one and only Pradeep Srivastava. And Pratik, my favorite thing was when you're like, I know I said one more time earlier on. By then, my AirPods had died.
I did go. I pulled a Michael Madge.
That is a reference if you guys ever went to HI Santa Monica, where if I would go last, and I had no idea how long I had been on the stage because no one had given me the light. And sometimes
I think the other comedians didn't want to give you the light. They were like, "Oh, Pradeep, can you do it?" So I would try. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's unbelievable. Well, one more time for all the comics you saw tonight,
all the
guys. The one and only Ryan Connor, Aisha Alpha, Pratik Shrivastava. I've been Michael Madgett. Again, guys, follow us at Comedy in English on all social medias. We got different lineups every show. Eventbrite for the RSVP if you want to join us in the Zoom room. Keep watching on the streams. Keep sharing the links out with your friends. Keep supporting comedy. If you want to keep donating, you can. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Stripe. It's all in the comments section or in the show notes, as the kids like to call it. Aisha, Ryan, Pratik, anything you guys want to add before we head out?
Keep supporting comedy, whether it's live or Zoom. Yeah, just keep.
Be nice to each other. Let's all just be nice to each other in life, in the world. This is going to make a difference when I say this. So don't worry, guys. Solved it.
Yeah.
Solved
Don't
it.
flip the switch.
All right, guys. I've been Michael Madgett. We will see you next time. I still got to figure out an outro. We're out. Later.
Later.